Hey, Coach. Um, Sorry, there were a few calls tonight on TV that we weren't granted an explanation for. Like the flagrant on Jazz, it looked like she was trying to secure a rebound and got locked up with Hamby. But I don't know. Did the ref say that she followed through or pushed her or something like that? And same thing about the double tech. We didn't get to like replay that or anything that was called on Sab and Plum. Did you have
Yeah,
explanations? Sorry.
I have no explanation for the Sav and Plum. I was standing there. I didn't see anything that was noteworthy in regards to Jazz's flagrant. They said that she threw her down after going for the ball. I don't, it's not. It's just not that big of a deal. I know you're not saying it is, but it wasn't really. It's not at the forefront of my mind as to all the things that we need to address.
Sure, for sure. Thanks. And while Vegas was really strong in the paint tonight, for the eye test on the offensive end, it looked like it was just a case of a lot of shots not falling from outside, some rim outs, a lot of open opportunities. Were you happy on the offensive end with some of those looks that you were getting, even if a lot of them didn't fall?
Yeah, I thought we got good looks. I still think we had a lot of empty possessions. I didn't think our awareness of our matchup advantages and continually attacking them was very good. I still think we have a long way to go in that regard. In our quest to be a team that's a little bit more autonomous out on the court, players as a unit, both individually and collectively, we just have a long way to go before we recognize deficiencies and attack them, recognize advantages and attack them relentlessly. I think that we didn't necessarily believe in ourselves. I think as a group, the coaching staff, we very much believe in this team. That's what we just told them after the game. But there are times where we don't look like we believe in ourselves, and that's a tough one. That's a tough one. A lot of that comes from experience. A lot of it comes from going through the battles and the losses and seeing how you respond and things like that. And it's what we talked about prior to the Phoenix game. It was a great response, and then we came out and got whooped 2 nights in a row. So it's time for us to gear up, and everybody's got to do soul searching and make sure that they're addressing individual contributions to the team. Where are they doing well? What are they missing? How can they fix it? Coaches included, of course.
Thank you so much.
Jackie Powell.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for being here with us. I'm curious as to what makes it so hard for you guys to execute offensively against the Aces.
That's a good question. I mean, they're well prepared defensively. They're a veteran team. They know their system. They've done a good job of executing their defense, and just don't think that we've made the necessary adjustments on the court in the game, in spite of working on them ad nauseum leading up to the game. Our focus just hasn't been very good the last couple of games. It hasn't been good in practice and shoot around, and it's something that the Benijah and Reshanda and Sammy, have all at different times addressed. We're young, and we've got a lot of growing to do together.
Right. And I wanted to ask you what you made of the limited minutes Sabrina had. She didn't have a good shooting performance, but what did you think of how she was able to move and her aggressiveness?
Yeah, I thought she moved pretty well. Got a lot of reps. You can't expect her to be fully in sync. She hasn't been practicing. She hasn't, been able to go full. I do think the rest did well. She had a really nice defensive possession there. But we've got to build her up to the point where she can at every single possession. And that's going to be a necessity. As long as we have her out here, all the offensive advantage gives us. We've got to get her to that point where that type of defense is what she brings every single time down the court. And it's going to go for everyone on our team. It's the demands are the same. And I think that our buy-in and understanding of those demands being, across the board, the same for everybody. And the sooner we get to that point where we have that consistently from every player on the roster, we're going to be able to get back to the defensive identity that we want to have.
Thanks so much, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. Next up, we have Rebecca Allen. Looks like there's been a change. Next up, we have Reshanda Gray. Please raise your hands if you have questions for Gray. I'll keep you posted on Beck.
You're even more aggressive than you were your first trip out. What has been your mindset, and how are you preparing as you come into this? And then maybe you could also speak to how the team is coalescing right now.
So the first thing that I want to say is like what's been helping my mindset is I would definitely have to say my faith, because when I'm focused on the right thing, I feel like God continue to create opportunities for me, and it's just my job to capitalize on it. Secondly, I want to give a shout out to Coach P, Shelly P, because before and after practice, she's just constantly been in my ear, and I'm learning from her because Rebecca Bronson, Todd McFranklin, like Asia Jones, like Sylvia Fowles. So a lot of the great post players been under her. So I just had the opportunity just to suck up knowledge. But not only that, just continue to stand in my identity and what I can bring to the table. Like, what do Reshanda do best? It's something that I've really been focused on. I would definitely have to give a shout out to my teammates too, because they kind of make my job easier and just talk to me and communicate to me to allow me, trust me with the ball, as you can see tonight, but just helping me make my job and my transition easy. But on top of that, I'm on a hardship waiver, so I have a point to prove. So every game I have to go out there and show people why I deserve to be around and why I deserve to be here.
I wish every player would give an answer like that. Thank you so much. Love you. Bye.
Thank you, sir. I love you too. See you soon, hopefully.
I hope so too.
Cortland Griffin.
Cortland Griffin with 3-point conversion. Reshanda, so you had a pretty nice game today, 17 points. What does that speak?
What? Okay.
What is that like? What was your mentality going into a game against a tough team in the Aces?
So I had two things. One, I must say that like I've been going through a lot off the court, but as a professional athlete, you got to be able to separate the two. So when I step inside those forward lines, I'm there to do my job. Secondly, I have to give a shout out to Felicia, who's like the head leader of all the chaplains, because her word today just really spoke to me today, and it was basically saying like, what are you doing? And if what you're doing, will God be happy to stand in it? And I had to do like a self-reality check on myself, like, what am I doing? I've been worrying about the wrong things. I feel like I haven't been my best. So I try to change that mindset, and instead of thinking about negative things, I try to think more about positive things. That was definitely something. And, I just have to give a shout out to my teammates and Coach Walt for just like believing me and just continue to work with me and just talk to me. And just once again, my work ethic, and I have my family watching me. So I'm always, happy to put on and make my family proud.
Thank you for your insight.
Thank you.
Jackie Powell.
Hey, Reshanda, great to talk to you as always. It's good to see you. Can you talk to us about, what you think about when you have to go up against someone like Liz Cambage and how you hold your own against her?
So, that was the second part of your question. I forgot. I'm sorry. I apologize. But I'm answering now. Going into Vegas, they stacked from guards to posts to backup players. But that's okay because I believe that I deserve to be in this league. And I feel like this was a great opportunity to show that I deserve to be in this league. And to show that every year, I feel like maybe I get overlooked or whatever, but just constantly continue to fight and just prove myself and show people that I deserve to be here. De'Erica Hamby is one of the best, the sixth former leader. Cambage been just doing her stuff. You got even Park from South Korea. I played against her in South Korea. She's one of the top post players in South Korea too. Like, I really strongly believe that I deserve to be here and I can compete with the best. So I always want to go out there and just show people that I can be able to compete with them.
Brilliant. And so, Coach Hopkins told us that at times he felt like some players on the team, didn't believe in themselves. And, you are someone who is really positive. So, these few days going into the LA game, how do you step up, as sort of a vet to sort of help your teammates out and say, no, we have to believe in each other?
Ooh, that's still something that I'm also working on too. But being a vet, I've been through that, done that. And my advice to them, and I told them in the locker room today, is like, you have to do a reality check, self-check. Were you the best DD of the floor tonight? Was you your best Jazz tonight? Like, for myself, yeah, I did a great job scoring tonight, but I still feel like it was things that I could have done better. I could have listened to my teammates more. I feel like I could have jumped a little bit quicker to the ball screens or something like that. But I just definitely have to say to them as a vet is you just have to do a reality check and understand that every time you go out here, like, it's your job. Like, nothing is really guaranteed. If anybody knows, like, I for sure know that nothing is guaranteed, but you got to be able to bring your A game every night. And the best thing about playing in the WNBA, we got LA's coming up next. Whether I play or not, we got LA coming up next. So I told them that the best thing you could do is just scratch that and just move forward, because unless you can go back in a time machine, it ain't nothing you can do about it. So just learn from it and just on to the next game.
Thank you so much. That's always a pleasure. Have a
Thank
good
you, Jack. A Blake girl.
Jeff Magliochetti.
Reshanda, thank you for joining us. It can't be said enough that you're almost a walking, breathing case for WNBA expansion, whether it's through cities or roster spots, because, it's like you said, you've been proving every day that you belong on a WNBA roster, and it probably shouldn't be to that point now, if we're being honest at this point. But, what keeps you from getting frustrated out there, from, dealing with that, and how big of a role has your faith played into it?
1,000%. I'll definitely have to say 1,000%. My faith played a role in it, but just not giving up. I just feel like I still haven't even reached my peak. I still feel like it's so much more that I still have in me. And when I walk away from this game, I want to be able to say that I gave it my all. Like, I left it all on the floor. And I feel like I still haven't accomplished that yet. So that's why I continue to keep knocking on the doors, and the door closed, I'm going to knock on the next one. So I'll definitely have to say my faith played like 1,000% of just me staying positive and me focusing on the right things instead of being negative. And God has a purpose for me, and everything else is going to be lined up.
And, one thing, from an on-court perspective is you, despite, being in and out of the locker room and in and out of the lineup, you seem to have developed not only a great rapport with them, great chemistry with them, but great, work on the court as well. You seem to roll off the picks real well. You seem to infiltrate the paint real well and get yourself open. What's this team like, and how does it compare to your prior stops in New York? And what has been the special ingredient that has allowed you to abscond yourself into the New York culture, the 2021 Liberty culture, so quickly?
Wow. One of the things I have to say is, like, this team is really young, so they're really vulnerable. And one of the greatest things about being young is, like, yes, sometimes they get in their own self-head, but you can get them out, and then they're willing to follow. It's when you have young teammates who's not willing to follow or like listen to you just because you're a vet. Like, I'm like, hey, I've been there, done that. You're gonna be all right. Just follow me, do this, and everything else is gonna play out. But as far as me transitioning into this system, I feel like the system is fit for me. You know, going back to my college days, I was running gun. Like, shout out to my point guard, Brittany Boyd, which is similar to the Sammy, which is similar to the Sabrina and the B. So it was an easy transition for me because it's similar to what I played like in college.
Appreciate your time and insight, Reshanda. God bless.
No problem. Thank you. Have a good night.
Miles Ehrlich.
Hi, Reshanda. First of all, thank you for keeping us awake this late. It's definitely late here on the East Coast. Great game tonight. When you went into the halftime locker room, it was a 21-point game, but there was really strong energy and aggressiveness coming out of that third quarter. And you guys did play to a -6 in that second half, but it looked like you were refocused and re-energized. What happened at halftime that helped you guys kind of come together and just, force whatever you can out of those last 20 minutes when you're already in such a hole?
Yeah, and it's funny you say such a hole, but at that point we felt like we had nothing to lose. Like, we was down 20. So our best bet was to go back to our principles and work and execute the things that we do best. Yeah, we was down 20, but our focus was on our team, just trying to be better within our chemistry and just use the opportunity that we have to be better at things. And I felt like we started at our best and then we dropped. So we had to do a better job of just like being at our best, staying at our best, and being consistent at our best. So that was a conversation that we had in ourselves. And I feel like we're our best when we're a little feisty. I'd be like, oh, y'all feisty. I like that. Like, y'all should bring that every night. Like, that's how it should be. So that was one of the things that we had to just go back into our bag to understand, like, our team identity.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gray. Next up, we have Rebecca Allen.
Hi, y'all.
Jeff Magliochetti.
Hi, Beck. Thank you for joining us so late. Sorry things didn't go your way out there tonight. But, as someone who has both played in a Bill Laimbeer system and played against a Bill Laimbeer system, what is it that he does so well?
I guess you also see that this team's been together for a while. They've been building their group, their team for a lot longer. So, I mean, that adds to everything as well. There's a continuity amongst them as well that we're also building at this point. But beyond that, like, it's a system that we drilled, and we know how to defend, but there was just so many breakdowns by us today.
Going into the fourth quarter, it was a negative margin on the scoreboard at the end of it, but you guys seemed to find a groove late in the game. So how important was that in building momentum towards LA on Sunday on both a personal and team level for you?
I mean, I'm ignoring this game fourth quarter regardless. I think it's just about moving forward and having a bit of self-reflection is a big thing that we said in the locker room. Remember what your role is, do it well, come in and be focused. I think there's just this attention to detail that we need to have, and come into LA ready to go. It's going to be a fight, but we need to show that we're ready, and this is going to be a big bounce back game for us.
Appreciate your time and insight, Beck. Safe travels.
You too. Thank you.
Cortland Griffin.
Cortland Griffin with 3-point conversion. Hey, Beck. So tonight, you again had another pretty good game on both sides of the ball, and it just didn't fall you guys' way. So going to LA, like you said, what is some of the things that you guys can take away for that are positives in this loss?
I think we had patches where we played like us. I think as we were speaking in the locker room, we were talking about identity and that we have one and we need to really focus in on it and trust it. Identity is both offensively and defensively. And it goes down to what the coaches are asking of us and what we're drilling at practice and making sure it's converting to the games. A big thing right now is focusing on us and focusing within and making changes. I think that's a big thing as well. Like, we've just been killed twice by Vegas right now, and we need to take that personally.
Thank you for your insight.
Jackie Powell.
Hey, Beck, thanks for being here. I know it's tough. I appreciate it. So first, I'm curious as to what made it so hard for you guys to execute your offensive identity and your defensive identity against the Aces.
I think offensively, I think they blew up a lot of our sets, but I mean, we have counters to that too. We also didn't see the ball go in a few times. We had some really great looks and it didn't drop. Sometimes you have those nights. Defensively, it's concentration. Defense is effort. And I know that we all, myself obviously included, needed to play harder, play tougher, and make them feel us. I think that's a big thing for us, is we need to make them feel us the way they were making, the way we felt them. So I think that's going to be a big thing for when we go against LA.
Right. And so a difference from tonight versus Tuesday was you all actually turned the ball over less than Vegas did tonight. So what do you, I know it's shocking, but that's the truth, or at least the box maybe was lying to me. But anyway, I'm curious as to how you diagnose what the main issue was tonight in game 2, if it wasn't turnovers as it was in game 1.
I think part of it as well is if we don't score, they can't score. There's a mentality with defense that they were sort of scoring at will in moments. And I mean, they've got some great players on their team. They're going to make shots, but we need to contest it better. We need to defend it better, but especially if we're not hitting down our end. I think there's that mentality. If we don't make it, they don't make it. So, I mean, beyond that, and then obviously us not hitting shots throughout the game, that hurts. That makes it a lot harder.
Right. And the last one for me, Coach Hopkins was talking about how there were times when it seemed like you guys didn't believe in yourselves. And so what I want to know is, moving forward, as someone who's been in this league for a bunch of years, how do you, as a vet, as someone who is positive, how do you help your teammates out and sort of say, hey, we got to believe in ourselves?
Yeah, I think tonight there needs to be a lot of personal reflection where you do look within. But then I think when it comes to the next days, that's when you need to give. It's going to be a moment just to show the bounce back. And I mean, they really put it on us. Who's going to show that they can bounce out? Who's tough? Who's mentally tough? So it's going to be a challenge, but a challenge that we should all receive well. We want to win. We want to play hard. And then, I mean, I guess the beauty of it is at least we get to play again soon, so that we can sort of have that redemption, I guess, from these last 2 games that we've had.
Thanks so much, Beck. I appreciate it.
Miles Ehrlich.
Hi, Beck. Thank you for talking to us so late. You talked to Jackie just now about some of the difficulty when you're not hitting your shots, but the other team is. Vegas did a really good job clogging the paint tonight, but it did appear that when you guys were running your sets, especially in that second half, that you were getting some really good looks from 3, and some of those just weren't falling. Do you think that that's connected to what you said, that mentality that you get into that mental back and forth about their hitting shots? Then do you think the team was pressing a little bit and trying to make up that gap, or was it just a bad luck night?
I mean, I don't believe in luck. You do create your own luck. But ultimately, they defended really well in some moments. And I think that they pushed us out of our sets a little bit at times. And just with physicality, and like I said, they clogged it, but not hitting shots makes it hard, especially when we have, I guess, an identity also of being great 3-point shooters. And some nights you have that where they're not going in. But I think there's just has to be beyond the offense. There needs to be that mentality of making it as hard for them to score as possible. And we had breakdowns tonight. We had many breakdowns.
Thank you. And you had a team high 4 steals tonight. Could you talk about some of what you saw that put you into such a great position? Because as Jackie said, you guys won the turnover battle tonight, and a lot of that was you picking off some of those passes.
I mean, I know I'm blessed with long arms, so I use them as best I can. But I guess you're trying to read the defense and be in the right spot at the right time, get your health side, all of that. But I mean, the statistic means not a whole lot to me right now after a loss like that.
Thanks so much.